Woe to you of earth and sea.
Welcome to Satan is My Superhero, a show for atheists, scoffers, heathens, and unbelievers. I'm your host, Judas Falling. In this episode, we close our eyes and slip into a hellish dreamscape of our deepest, darkest fears, and hope we don't lose our minds in a sea of madness while we examine where the depraved imagination of H.P. Lovecraft crosses paths with our favourite superhero.
Get off the road, Lovecraft!
Lovecraft was an American pulp fiction writer active throughout the 1920s and 30s. His work was a blend of science fiction and horror fantasy. It was so distinctive it has become a genre unto itself, which we today call Lovecraftian. Like all visionaries ahead of their time, he died poor and obscure.
Oh, I see. That's your excuse for being an abstract failure. You're a visionary. Right.
Lovecraft first found recognition writing racist, homophobic reviews of other authors' works.
Had Fox News existed in his time, he would have had his own show.
I'm not a Nazi. I'm wearing a bow tie.
During World War I, Lovecraft published many pieces trying to drum up support for the US entering the conflict. Once his country did become involved, the 26-year-old Lovecraft claims he tried to enlist, but he was stopped by his mother.
I would join you chaps on the front line, but I'm afraid Mummy won't allow it.
As I said, Fox News, own show.
Lovecraft was opposed to democracy.
Once again, own show.
Interestingly, while this particular stance never changed, his ideology driving it swung wildly from right to left over the course of his life. To begin with, Lovecraft had been born into wealth and believed in a society ruled by an elite.
Rich white men should rule the world.
Are you saying that just because you're a rich white man?
No.
But the family fell on hard times, and after many years of personal poverty and living through the Great Depression, Lovecraft realised he was wrong. The 1% would burn this planet to the ground rather than give up just 1% of anything they have.
Only poor people pay their taxes.
Lovecraft was not only able to admit to himself and publicly he had been wrong, but he leapt right out of the oligarchic capitalist mindset fry pan and into the full-blown socialist fire.
Poverty is an endemic generational cycle. Capitalism is a rigged system.
Are you just saying that because you're sick of being poor?
Yes, and it's going to kill me before I'm 50.
Anyway, we're not here for a biography on Lovecraft. Let's get to the juicy stuff.
Good, because I'm sick of hearing about this white supremacist.
In 2011, white supremacist,
Oh dear.
Holocaust denier, occultist, and founder of multiple neo-Nazi publications, Kerry Bolton, wrote an essay titled
The Influence of H.P. Lovecraft on Occultism,
in which Bolton said,
Lovecraft's horror stories have become not just a literary cult like many others, but a tangible cult of the occult. The Cthulhu mythos of the old gods with unspeakable names are evoked and worshipped, and respected practitioners of the esoteric use the symbolism and mythos as the basis of a magical system.
You know your religion is just based on a book written by a man, right?
You just described every religion.
God damn it.
British occultist Kenneth Grant, who had been a student of Aleister Crowley, mixed a cult of Cthulhu in with Thelema and anything else he could find in the early 20th century magic with a K cupboard, and in 1955 created his own cult.
Typhonian Ordo Templi Orientis.
You just made those words up.
All words are made up.
God damn it!
Fans of Lovecraft will be well aware of the Necronomicon. We've discussed it before in
Dungeons and Dragons 1. Demon Pulling.
The Necronomicon was created by Lovecraft to be referenced in his stories. It first appeared in 1924 in a short story,
The Hound.
It's an elusive underground book of black magic penned in blood by a fictional character from Lovecraft's mythical universe. Most importantly, a book that Lovecraft invented but never actually wrote. Nevertheless, there are people who insist the book exists somewhere.
Well, if it's not real, how did Lovecraft know about it?
He just imagined it. That's how all books come to the world.
God damn it!
Lovecraft himself said,
I would write the book, but I'm afraid Mummy won't allow it.
But seriously, here's what he actually said.
As for bringing the Necronomicon into objective existence, I wish indeed I had the time and imagination to assist in such a project, but I'm afraid it's a rather large order, especially since the dreaded volume is supposed to run something like 1,000 pages.
Well, according to founder of
Typhonian Ordo Templi Orientis.
You just made those words up.
Kenneth Grant,
The Necronomicon is a legitimate esoteric text extant on the Akashic or astral realm and accessed via dreaming.
I should write a book of religious rituals based on my dreams.
Dream sequence music.
You are standing in front of your entire school assembly, and now you notice you are naked.
So many people think the Necronomicon is real and real evil. It features as a question on the Church of Satan's FAQ page. The Church of Satan's official response when asked if the Necronomicon is part of Satanism is...
No, since it really does not exist, it was simply a mythical book referred to fictitiously in stories by horror author H.P. Lovecraft.
Well, that only makes me think maybe it is real.
Over the years, so many people had inquired about the book at one of New York's most famous occult shops,
The Magical Child,
that in 1977 they created and published a leather-bound copy of the tome, allegedly compiled by an author known only as Simon.
Simon says!
According to High Priest of the Church of Satan, Peter Gilmore,
the book thus fabricated by the mysterious Simon is an artful blend of pseudo-Sumerian and Gothic ritual, with names crafted to resemble those of Lovecraft's invented monster gods.
Simon says steal someone else's idea.
Lovecraft himself had once said,
If anyone were to try and write the Necronomicon, it would disappoint all those who have shuddered at cryptic references to it.
Preemptive burn.
Simon's Necronomicon is not the only one to cash in on this imaginary book title either. There are others out there.
Hey, someone stole my idea to steal someone else's idea, but I never said Simon says.
Lovecraft said of the title's origin,
The name Necronomicon occurred to me in the course of a dream, although the etymology is perfectly sound.
Scholars have noted Lovecraft's etymology is not perfectly sound.
Excuse me, Professor. I've been in this etymology class for 6 months now, and I'm just wondering, when do we actually get to the insects?
While the Church of Satan correctly denies an association with the Necronomicon, Lovecraft's mythology is built into the very foundations of the organisation. Anton LeVay's a right-hand man, an active serving lieutenant colonel in the US military at the time, and later founder of his own satanic cult called the Temple of Set, and even later suspected Nazi sympathiser, Michael Aquino helped LeVay write the follow-up to his 1972 bestseller, The Satanic Bible, with 1973's
The Satanic Rituals.
I love the ritual, but we're gonna end it with Hail Satan. I feel it's more appropriate to our mission here.
So drop the Heil Hitler?
Yes.
I'm starting my own satanic cult.
That might be for the best.
I'm keeping the robes.
Please just leave. Are you goose-stepping?
It keeps the bottom of the robes off the floor.
At least one of the rituals outlined in the Satanic Rituals comes directly from Lovecraft through Aquino, and is named after the Lovecraft story The Call of Cthulhu.
No, Michael.
There is a cult who worship Cthulhu in the fictional Lovecraft universe. This is what Lovecraft says about them in that story.
They worshipped, so they said, the great old ones who lived ages before there were any men and who came to the young world out of the sky. Those old ones were gone now, inside the earth and under the sea, but their dead bodies have told their secrets in dreams to the first men who formed a cult which has never died.
I think we have writers in our midst right now whose works could be hijacked in this way.
Put on the sorting hat. Oh dear.
The prophet is going to be very displeased.
Why? What is it? What house has the sorting hat put me in?
Trans.
In 1981, a Stephen Greenwood started calling himself Randolph Carter after a recurring character in Lovecraft's works and published
Manifesto of the Aeon of Cthulhu,
announcing the creation of the
Esoteric Order of Dagon.
Carter claims
the Esoteric Order of Dagon is a serious occult order which has been working Lovecraftian magic for nearly 30 years. The EOD utilizes the so-called Cthulhu mythos of the horror and fantasy writer H.P. Lovecraft as a magical method of exploring the collective unconscious.
I'm interested in joining your cult, but I need to know, are you a serious occult organization?
Yes, of course.
Do you dress up in robes and perform ridiculous rituals while chanting nonsense in a made-up language?
Yes, and we have preposterous dietary restrictions.
Perfect. Where do I sign up?
The name Esoteric Order of Dagon comes from the Lovecraft story
The Shadow over Innsmouth,
and Carter makes this claim about the author.
He never learned the true origin of the tremendous vistas of cosmic strangeness that haunted his dreams. He never realized that he was himself the high priest, Ekpiel, the prophet of the dawning aeon of Cthulhu.
Just think about it. You too might be a prophet in a cult you don't even know about.
If all this talk about black magic, sex magic, and the occult has got you thinking about joining a cult,
well, wake up to yourself.
It's all bullshit. But what you can do is pretend you're in a cult. Just go to satanismysuperhero.com and check out the merch store.
Hey, where did you get that t-shirt?
Oh, I belong to a satanic cult.
Oh wow, you're so cool.
Thanks, satanismysuperhero.com. Now I'm cool.
So cool.
I wanna be cool. I wanna be cool.
Because this episode was actually requested by a number of fans, I didn't want to spend like a whole 20 minutes just bashing a homophobic racist. So I thought we should end with some positives.
He didn't hate all the Jews. That's it. That's my list. What have you got?
Weird Tales magazine hired Lovecraft to ghostwrite a story for Harry Houdini, based on a real-life experience Houdini had gone through in Egypt. Houdini was so impressed with the work, he kept commissioning Lovecraft to ghostwrite for him right up until Houdini himself became a ghost.
Before we begin today's ceremony, I have a rather unusual request from the family of the deceased. They would like everyone to know that Eric Weiss, better known as Harry Houdini, really is dead. His actually properly dead corpse is in the coffin and will be buried under 6 feet of dirt today. This is not a trick. One more time, just to be clear, not a trick.
Despite all we've said about the man, Lovecraft has had a positive effect on the world. In 1970, Black Sabbath's first album, Black Sabbath, contained the song
Behind the Wall of Sleep,
which got its name from the Lovecraft story.
Beyond the Wall of Sleep. We will be covering this album in detail in 2 weeks' time on the episode, Black Sabbath, all about the 1970 Black Sabbath album, Black Sabbath, featuring the song Black Sabbath, I Can Smell Burnt Toast.
Probably the most famous quote from a Lovecraft book comes from The Call of Cthulhu, and is attributed to the Necronomicon.
That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange eons even death may die.
While I certainly wouldn't have known it at the time, this line was my first interaction with Lovecraft. I came across this quote in the same place I learned literally everything I know. Iron Maiden.
Mom, can you take me to the library?
Sure, why?
I need to find out what a holot is, and where I can find one.
The greatest artist to have ever lived, Derek Riggs, used the quote on a tombstone in the background as Maiden mascot Eddie emerges from a grave on the cover of the greatest live album ever recorded, Live After Death.
You know the world kept making music after the 1980s, right? Maybe Iron Maiden aren't the greatest band in the world.
I will end you.
Metallica have referenced Lovecraft on 2 different songs. 1984's instrumental, The Call of Cthulhu, and 1986's The Thing That Should Not Be.
These positives you were going to do. All you've done is name-checked more famous people that have liked him.
Something I personally think is a positive for Lovecraft. He had been openly pro-prohibition, and despite being a teetotaler himself...
Oh, of course he was a teetotaler.
...had the humility and intelligence to see it wasn't just not working, it was making things worse, and publicly changed his stance on it, just like he had with politics. So he was someone who could grow.
No drinks for me, chaps. I'm afraid Mummy won't allow it.
Like so many previous subjects of the show, Paul Crouch, Benny Hinn, Joel Osteen and others, Lovecraft was an atheist.
I was hoping we'd keep that one on the down low.
He did not believe in supernatural mumbo-jumbo. We could describe him as a materialist. I reckon the way his works are being used as spiritual material these days would annoy the bejesus out of him.
Hey Howard, in the future, your books will be interpreted as religious texts.
God damn it.
And gay people can marry each other.
If you're enjoying this episode, you should consider supporting the show. Go to satanismysuperhero.com and follow the link to our Patreon page. I'm pretty sure H.P. Lovecraft would support the show because we're logic, reason and science-based. And because we're white.
What can we take away from Lovecraft? Scratch the surface of any historical figure and you're going to find someone you probably don't like. To quote soldier, smuggler and interplanetary philosopher Malcolm Reynolds...
It's my estimation that every man ever got a statue made of him was one kind of sumbitch or another.
Lovecraft is an exercise in an all-too-common 21st century moral conundrum. Can we love the art without forgiving the artist? In 2015, the World Fantasy Award announced they would no longer use Lovecraft's likeness on their statues.
Oh, but he's so good-looking.
Author Daniel José Older said at the time,
If fantasy as a genre truly wants to embrace all of its fans, and I believe it does, we can't keep lionizing a man who used literature as a weapon against entire races.
You've got Twitter for that.
I think an organisation like World Fantasy Awards has to weigh up a lot of factors when they decide to withdraw support from an artist. But for individuals like you and me, when it comes to the question, can we love the art without forgiving the artist? I have an easy answer. Yes, as long as the artist is dead.
God damn it! Hit him with another 50 mil of adrenaline.
Doc, it's time to give up. He's gone. We lost him.
Time of death, 2:26 p.m. Pacific Time, 25th of June, 2009.
Hey, look, on the bright side, now it's okay to rock out to Billie Jean again. Look at me, I'm moonwalking and I don't have to feel bad about it anymore.
I think Lovecraft shows us just how prone to magical thinking the badly wired human mind is.
How disappointing.
Actual religions are developing around the writings of this man as we speak.
It makes me vomit in my mouth just a little bit. Swallowed it. Just a little bit.
Lovecraft did not present as a prophet with some connections to the spiritual world. He never claimed to be anything other than a writer of fiction. But these wishful thinkers claim he was in touch with the astral plane through his dreams and just didn't realize it. You could say that about literally anything.
Welcome to the Church of Saved by the Bell.
Oh, I thought this was the everlasting congregation of Dawson's Creek.
No, we worship Saved by the Bell here.
And Saved by the Bell, the college years.
Apostate!
Burn the heretic at the principal building's Hawaiian-style steak.
Burn the heretic! Burn the heretic!
I thought the show had merit!
Okay, well, as much as I've ridiculed and made fun of the man on a personal level, there is no doubting he was a unique and insightful writer. So let me at least give Howard Phillips Lovecraft the last word.
Bunched together a group of people deliberately chosen for strong religious feelings, and you have a practical guarantee of dark morbidities expressed in crime, perversion, and insanity.
And that's why Satan is my superhero. If you've enjoyed this episode, rate, review, subscribe, you know the deal. But please do go check out the website, satanismysuperhero.com, where you will find links to the merch store, our Patreon page, and all our social medias.
Charge up the defibrillator to 100,000 volts. Shit, what?
Oh, I belong to a satanic club. Satanic club.
Charge up the defibrillator to 1,000.
I'm one of the cool kids now.
I can't believe that one, Rabbi. I've got a Brookin Vigilant.
Sighs dramatically. Time of death.
Trans people. You've got to put a warning next time.
Well aware of the current...
Sure, old man, sure. Okay.